Hey, babe, guess what? We are
What?
at Hyphen, formerly
Hyphen.
known as JP Marketing, with
We are here today. I'm so excited to have Jane Olvera Majors with us. Jane and I go way back.
Way back.
We won't say how many ways
Let's
we
not.
go back, but
Let's
many
not count.
ways. Your journey to where you are today is pretty incredible. So we are so excited to talk to you about all the things that you've done. I know that you love mentoring. You've got big plans for the future.
Yeah,
You've got
can't
some
wait to hear more
exciting things
about
going
that.
on. So,
Yeah.
so we want to talk about all that. But we want to start from the beginning. And actually, the funniest thing I read on you was you're dancing with the raisins. I come from a family of farmers of raisins. So I was like, seriously, you danced with the
I
raisins?
did. I was the National Raisin Queen,
Wow.
which was actually a competition right here in Fresno County, being
remember
the
that,
capital
yeah.
of the raisin production industry. And so I literally got to travel all over the country
Wow.
and perform with the
was a
Dancing
huge
Raisins
promotion.
in New Orleans with the food show. And
Please
yeah,
find footage.
I can
need to
still.
see it.
I have pictures for sure.
love that.
Yes, and I used to wear this big pin. I wore it on Capitol Hill that said,
No.
Raisin Champion, and yeah, super exciting.
That's when the
it was a
valley
great
was
experience.
so big for raisins.
I'm
Now we're
telling you, my whole family were farmers, and my mom worked for the USDA as a raisin inspector. So,
Oh my goodness!
I read your bio. I'm like, how did I know Jane all these years and
But I
didn't know she
cannot,
was a
I
dancing
cannot
raisin?
hear the song "Heard It Through the Grapevine" without doing the moves.
Oh my
I can't do it. I can't help myself.
I love it. And actually, maybe it was prior to that, you started at a packing house. Your first
When
job,
I was 12
right?
years old, my first job. You can't
Tell us about
can't do that anymore with child labor laws.
Right.
But yeah,
And that's how you learn to work.
You know, my parents wanted to teach me the importance of hard work
Hard
and
work.
real hard
That's
work.
hard work. Yeah,
Yep.
I've had friends in our youth the same thing. That was a job.
Yeah, it was a tough job. So peaches, plums, and nectarines out in the summer heat, no air conditioning, just a
Wow.
fan, and packing fruit right off the trees, not washed, not sized, not sorted. And but I made really good money. I would get paid by the box. 21 cents a box. So the faster and more efficient you were, the
Right.
more money you could make. So I could make about $10 an hour if the fruit was good, which back
Wow.
then,
Yeah,
at
that's
12 years
money.
old, I was shopping at Kmart and buying Chemindifer jeans. Boy, I was all about it.
You just took me back right there.
Yeah, because if it wasn't that, then I was wearing clothes my mom sewed. So it was one or the other. And I
You had goals.
What
I had
What
goals.
a great way to show that growth is based on effort, right? And that's one thing that our show's big about is about showing people that have resorted to success based on their efforts. And sometimes it's emotionally, sometimes it's physically, sometimes it's efforts. Awesome example.
Yeah, neither one of my parents graduated from college. So they instilled that in both me and my sister early on, that college is important. Be the first in our family
First to
to
go.
get the college degree and do the thing. But, we don't have the money to fund it. So figure that part out too. And so we just did.
Well, and I think you had your challenges too. I was reading your bio about, saying something about your challenges in high school and someone telling you
Well,
something.
and I actually want to interject here because like I said, I've known you forever, and I've always known you as a very confident, incredible businesswoman. And I never would have thought, I think that this is also what our show is about. You don't really realize that sometimes, people aren't just automatically successful, right?
Oh, yeah, no.
You had your challenges. And so tell us about what that high school counselor said to you.
Yes. So Mr. Miner was his name, Dale Miner.
You'll never
And I'll never forget. And I was a 15-year-old junior because I had skipped a grade. So I'd skipped first grade, actually. So when you're a junior, that first couple weeks or whatever, you take all these assessments, right?
Right.
And these assessments of all sorts are supposed to put you on a career path. Say, well, your natural talents or gifts or skills, whatever, would lead you this direction. So you do all the tests and go meet with your counselor, and they have to write something in your file, right? That we met, and this is your career path, and this is what you want to be when you grow up. So I sit down, and he says, so 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? Because these assessments are all over the place. I can't really guide you.
Yeah.
You could be anything from an astronaut to a
Laborer.
Wow.
field worker. Like there's no clear path here. You're a little bit all over the place. So what is it that you want to be doing 10 years from now? If you could visualize that, what would you be doing? And I said, I really would like to have my own company that helps other businesses be successful. So sort of a consultant type of a
Right.
thing. And he literally pushed his little glasses down his nose and looked at me over his glasses and said, let me tell you why that's not going to happen for you. And
my goodness.
and I, in my brain's thinking, okay, I need to do better in lit class. Okay. Like he's going to give me things that I can
Pointers.
work
Yeah.
on, right? Like what do I need to work on? And he said, the first thing is 10 years from now, you're only going to be 25, 26 years old. So at 25 years old, you haven't worked your way up the ladder yet. You got to start in the mailroom and work your way up. So you're going to be too young 10 years from now to own your own company. And in my mind, I was like, well, I can't age faster. Now I don't want to age faster, but back then you want to, right?
Yeah, we always want to excel when we're young.
And then the next thing he said is because you're female and
my goodness.
women don't own companies, right? You work for someone else, and you're Hispanic, and Hispanics also don't own their own companies, and they work for other people. And I was devastated. So I left his office bawling. Had to call my mom because, of course, I didn't have a driver's license yet.
Right, you were 15.
I was a wreck, and I told if she could come pick me up and take me home, and she did. Now, normally, mom was like, "Suck it up, Buttercup"
Yep.
type.
Yeah.
But in this particular circumstance, she decided it was okay.
Yeah.
She was going to come pick me up and take me home, and on the way home, I told her what happened, and I said, the worst part about it is I can't change any of those things.
None of those,
There's
yeah.
nothing about that I could change. I guess I could change my gender now, but that wasn't something we talked about then, and it wasn't really something I was interested in at the time, right?
Yeah.
And so I cried all the way home, and I remember my mom just pat me on the leg and just said, "It's okay, honey. You can be anything you want to be." And I don't know how much in her heart she necessarily said that, but it was the right thing to say in the moment.
Yes.
So I was pretty upset for about 24 hours. And then I thought, you know what? F you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you to say,
Yep.
what I can and cannot be?
Yep.
And I don't know if it was just a little bit of stubborn or just a Capricorn and I'm just going to take the bull by the horns. I don't know what, but I just started telling people when I was 15 years old that I was going to own my own consulting company. And I was really good at computers and computer science. I actually went to Fresno State, a computer science major. And so in my brain, I was actually going to train employees on how to use their computers, on how to optimize. Like I was going to do computer training. And that was going to be my consulting business. Now I kind of veered off of that, but 2 weeks.
Still helping people.
I'm still helping people, right? So 2 weeks before I turned 26, I opened JP Marketing, which is now Hyphen.
Wow.
I love that.
Hit it.
And you know what they say? One of my very favorite quotes is success is the best revenge.
Yeah.
It is, but you know what? And for many years, I thought, I need to go show him what I did. I need to go
Yes.
find him and
Here's
show
my
him what I
card.
did.
Yeah.
kind of in this idea of revenge.
Yeah.
But then he passed. He passed about 10 or 15 years ago, so I never got to reconnect with him.
Yes.
And then I regretted not meeting him and thanking him.
Right.
Because I should have thanked
Absolutely.
him.
Yep.
Because did he just light a fire?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, same story for me. And I was a senior in high school and I was driven to be out and go. And I remember standing in front of my own father and my dad saying, "You're not going to make it that easily." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And he's like, "No, you're not." And I proved him wrong. And it's not to say that he did anything in malice, but I'll tell you that sentence was a bullet point, right? It's just that marker
Right.
for you in your life. And I don't think that's why every day today is I drive so hard because I feel like I got something to prove.
I think sometimes when people tell you you can't, it definitely makes you think, yes, I can.
Yeah. So
Don't make me.
I'm sorry that I never got the chance to thank him.
Yeah, that's
for kind of
great.
What a
that
great way to
moment
put
in
it,
my
too.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell college students when I get the chance to speak to them or mentor people, and I tell this story. The flip side of that is be careful who you listen to,
Absolutely.
because the person you think is supposed to be guiding you
Right.
maybe actually undermining you
Yeah.
Yes.
or trying to hurt you.
Delicate balance.
And that definitely segues me to my next topic because I know mentorship is big for you. And I know not only have you had some great mentors, but you are also mentoring other people. So if you had to talk about someone who did mentor you that you actually, took from, who would that be?
The former owner of A&M Carpet was Lee Horwitz.
Oh, Lee Horwitz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
second generation family business operator. And he was one of our first clients at JP. And he was so non-judgmental, right? Didn't look at me as young Hispanic female at all. Just looked at me as a partner in business, a trusted consultant. And I remember calling him with like the first time I needed to let a team member go. And I called him and I was like, what do I say? What do I do? Just help me. He was great. I mean, we had some rocky years here and there in the end. He had some business challenges. But at the end of the day, he's one of those people that was just so willing to be supportive and giving of his time. And you need people like that have been through it.
I'm going to tell you, that's my years of experience exactly. And I know Tracy said the same thing. It's like you meet somebody, a customer become a friend, and a friend becomes a confidant becomes a mentor. And there's so many opportunities in spheres of people around you. And like you said, careful who you listen to. But I'll tell you, some big opportunities if you really pay attention. And there's you don't always have to know everything just because you're supposedly in a role.
Right.
With them. It can still be a team effort, if you want to call it.
Absolutely.
I think that's true. One of the hardest things about being successful is that people do think you should know everything.
Right.
How do you deal with that? Because I mean, you have this big team now, right? And you have all these people, and I'm sure there are times where you're like, how do I deal with this one?
Yeah, to be honest, there's not a lot of like day-to-day things at Hyphen that I feel like I haven't been through that
Been there, done
lap
that.
around that
Yeah, yeah.
around that track. Maybe there's a new little twist on it or a new little angle, but there's nothing that really scares me that I feel is insurmountable or we can't solve.
I love that.
And so, and I think that's why, as part of our rebrand from JP to Hyphen, is that this idea that we problem solve by putting two things together that maybe haven't been put together before. This kind of idea that there's no new ideas, there's just pre-existing ideas, but we're just putting them together slightly differently. It's just a slightly different situation.
Right.
So, but there are times where you just have to stop and just ask better questions.
Yeah.
It just
Right.
if you just dig a little bit, the solution will sort of surface.
Right.
And I feel
sometimes just-
wisdom, right? I
Yeah.
think time creates wisdom and results. And that's really been there, done that, as they say, is a big part of it.
And taking time to think through things. Sometimes I think that
Oh,
helps.
yeah.
How many times in the middle of the night do we come up with these ideas that you're like, doing, wait, let me get my pen and paper.
All the time. All the
Do you
time.
have a pad of paper next to your desk?
I don't, but I'm pretty good at remembering.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be so good. Well, what'll happen is I'll just stay awake for half an hour ruminating on it,
Yep.
so it's cemented.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the kid of
That's
that
me.
too.
I'll wake up at 1:30 in the morning, and how I got there is beyond me. And I think that's how we do it. And I was asleep. So, yeah, just
Yeah.
cement it in. I lay there for another half hour, 45 minutes, and finally,
Yeah, exactly.
That is kind of the problem with being someone who is in love with what you do.
Yeah.
It's always in there. And that's good and that's bad.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it's bad.
Yeah.
I think it's effort. I mean, it depends on how it's a balance, right?
Right.
As they
Yeah,
say.
I think it's interesting to work with young people. So within the office, I mentor mostly people half my age, and I can remember what it was like being in this business at their age. And you do feel like you have something to prove. You do
Right.
feel like you're young. And you may be judged that you don't have enough laps around the track. But the power of asking good questions is really where the solutions are. And so, really trying to mentor them to say, it's okay to not always have the answers, because they'll see me in a room or on a call, and I'll be able to just
Yes.
pop
Shotgun
something
fire
out.
'em, yeah.
And they're like, how do you do that? It's 30 plus years of
Right.
data.
Right.
All I have to do is access it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
the
gets
hard
harder
drive,
and harder.
hard drive's still operating. Yeah, 100%.
Hard drive's pretty full, actually.
Oh, yeah, I use that term all the
purge.
time.
I have to purge sometimes some stuff,
And
and
that's kind of hard, purging from the brain.
Well,
That's hard.
and you're on a sabbatical right now, right?
Yeah,
of sorts?
technically, I'm on a sabbatical because
Is that a
I
purge
decided
thing?
I have no, it's not a purge; it's additive. Yeah, so I'm still spending time doing sales and mentoring at JP now hyphen. And those are the things I love to do.
Sure.
And I have team members that have been here for more than 20 years. They run the day-to-day of the company anyway. So now Gina's CEO and Josh is CTO, and let them run the show. They were already doing
Sure.
these jobs anyway, so now they have the titles
Right.
to back it up. And I decided to do something that I have no idea what I'm doing, which is a really scary but fun feeling. Like just telling you right now gets my heart racing because it's not something I know how to do at all.
See, but
And
that's
so-
the challenge, right? I think that's the fun
Well,
part.
that challenges you to grow.
Yeah. I think you talk about being in your lane for 30 years and doing what you do, and now it's I think that's the best part about getting to that point. I mean, we were sitting here at your event the other night watching this happen, and I was thinking in the back of my mind, how lucky are you to be able to take that moment and hand off the reins and your baby. The one that you started all that,
firstborn.
Yes.
that 15 and 14-year-old little girl that was stressed out about and where she is now. And now she's handing the reins over and now taking it a different step. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me one time if you could tell yourself when you were 25 years old one thing, what would you tell them?
Right.
And that's such a hard question. But I think the thing is, it's going to work out.
Right.
Just one day at a time. It's going to work out. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Right. Yeah, that's,
know?
that's great advice.
I think, though, as impression is as an alpha female that has this empowerment of her own, it creates its own challenges every single day, its own stresses, right? When you wake up in the morning and you're like, I got to get this done today.
Yes.
Not everybody's built that way.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But it also
Yeah.
creates a way to put your own pressure, and that's what
Yeah.
creates the drive. That's what
Yeah.
creates the results.
I probably wouldn't have this much gray hair if I wasn't that type of a personality. It's all colored up. It's all colored up.
Trust me, I had the gray spray this morning, so you know. So the other night, when we were at your 30-year event, which was amazing,
Yeah, it was fun.
you said, as you were talking about the promotion of Gina and Josh, you said, they're my boss now.
Yes.
I love that.
And actually that resonated on me a lot because I feel like that was such a powerful thing to do. I'm sure that took you some time to come to that and be able to say, they've got this, and now I'm going to go do other things. Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel to say that, though?
Publicly.
I had no reservations about it at all.
I love
mean,
that.
I have trusted them for so long
Yeah.
that I don't know why it took me so long to give them the titles.
Right.
Like, what was I waiting for? I don't know. I guess it just never crossed my mind. I'm kind of not a title person. It's
Yeah.
like you're not your title, your job title
Right.
is how I feel, but I know it's important. It's a signal to the world and to the community, sort
Right.
of your role. But it's so freeing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's because I love you refer to them as teammates. That's one thing that's
That's
on
what
my
we do,
breath
too.
every day, and Tracy and I use is like we don't have employees, we have teammates, and it's so true. And that empowerment's based on that. But also, too, you do have to have that equilibrium within the system for help everybody identify where to go. So
So do you want to talk about what you're working on while you're on your sabbatical?
Sure.
Okay. I'm so intrigued.
Sure. So it's actually a problem I identified pre-COVID, and that is when we had clients that were at trade shows across the country. We would want social media content real time.
Right.
But over the years, clients' budgets maybe got cut back. They didn't want to pay us to travel. It didn't really make sense.
Yes.
So then you would try to source content from the sales guys that are in the booth, but they're busy selling.
Right.
They don't get a good shot, or they send it to you a week after the event, which isn't helpful. It doesn't help drive the organic traffic, right, that you're looking for. And so then maybe there's an intern, or you try to source a local photographer, but then you got to try to get them into the show. Anyway, long story short, we were struggling with this and talking about it at the office, and I jokingly said, well, isn't there an app for that? Like,
Right.
right, there's an app for everything.
Right.
There's got to be an app for that. There wasn't. And so we started working on an idea, and we actually had a little baby prototype of it that we had built, and a focus group tested it with about 5 or 6 people that are in the business, and it got good reviews, but lots of feedback, right? It was just getting off the ground. And then COVID happened, and the trade show market went
Right.
from
Oh,
$2 billion in the United States to zero overnight.
Overnight.
Right.
Absolutely. So
So I was
many
like,
industries
well-
did.
Fail.
Yep.
Next, move on. But the social media monster, as I call it, continues to want to need
Be fed.
content. Yeah, it wants to be fed. It's very hungry. And working in the marketing space, it's hard to find a good solution, right? So
Yeah.
your solutions are you want fast and cheap, but you also now we live in this world of authenticity,
Yep.
right?
Authenticity, but it's curated. I mean, when you look at what's coming out, I mean, here we are 2 years into our business, and we've talked about we're doing a podcast. We've got a social media person on staff. And to create that content balance is enormous challenge.
It's enormous. And if you want fast and cheap, you can use stock or AI.
Sure.
AI doesn't quite have it right yet. Sometimes it's wonky. But those aren't authentically your brand,
Correct.
right? So if that matters to you, then what are you doing? You're hiring a photographer, you're hiring someone in-house. Maybe you get an intern, but interns come and go. So now you don't have brand consistency.
Yeah.
You could hire an agency like us, but our hourly is going to be more than you want to pay, right? And so it just we can't feed this monster. So here's my thought: if you can crowdsource a car when you need a ride, if you can crowdsource a room when you need a place to stay, you can even crowdsource a relationship.
Right.
Right?
You're right.
Back to high school.
So why can't you crowdsource user-generated content? So the app is called Braid, which stands for Branded Assets Directly Exchanged. So it's a platform where brands and anybody with a cell phone can connect.
I like it.
Yeah.
And so where are you at with that process now? Is that a
In the
loaded
very
question?
frustrating early stage because I'm not a coder, right? And so this is where I have a ginormous learning curve. So I have a dev team based out of LA, and they're building, but they're building really smart. So they're trying to help me and guide me. They're founders themselves who have exited their projects, so they know what it takes to do the kind of the
get
lean
there.
startup strategy, right? So not put a ton of money into something that nobody wants, so you start building really slowly. So I've identified my beta brands, and I'm going to start pitching them in the new year to come on board, but it'll be a coupled together project. And then just start marketing for creators so people can start signing up to be a creator. And that's really anyone with a cell phone or a
Right.
smartphone. And ultimately, my grand master vision is to obliterate college debt. So I'd really love every college student to have the opportunity to do a side gig, right? So if you don't want to drive for Uber, you don't want to be a DoorDasher or whatever, here's another opportunity to
I love
take.
that.
And, I look at my daughter
cool
who's
idea that is.
26 and she's got 10,000 photos on her phone.
Yep.
And some of them are fantastic.
Oh, man. The
These kids take great pictures.
individual content. I was thinking.
Yep.
you're thinking
And what about
exactly-
videos?
Oh,
Videos
yeah.
are even harder to curate and pay for.
The capacities of a person in the mobile platforms now.
It's really amazing.
That's actually the unique thing. When you said authentic, is a lot of people create it on their own in a lot of cases. So and sometimes on accident. So I say that, and that's sometimes the best. So great platform, great idea. I like it.
So here we go.
Any idea?
I have no
on-
idea what I'm doing.
So there's no okay, we're going to launch in 2 years or a year.
No, we're launching with beta in early January. So we'll start that. We'll be pitching brands and also investors.
Wow, that's
And
great.
and
I
it's
think we need
really
to talk. I got some ideas.
yeah, absolutely. All I do is talk to people right now about it, which is what I'm told I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
It's just keep talking and talking. It's a little hard right now with the holiday season, but there's a lot going on.
I got a whole industry that could wrap around this.
Anyway, this is
absolutely.
what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And
This is amazing.
And my brain becomes a runaway train. Like it is constantly. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? So if you've seen
I've
my
seen
home
your-
office,
Yes.
Oh, well, that's where I was going to segue. Because I've watched you on social media and some of your clips that you do on your own, and I see all these post-it notes like, where is Jane going with this? 'Cause
I have to get stuff out of my head.
no, it's good, but it's
So the
fun.
minute I think of something, I put it up there. And as much as I live in a digital world and a digital space,
Yes.
I need the visual
Tangible.
for myself, and I need to be able to move things around. So when I think of a feature or an idea or a marketing strategy for this, I put it on Post-it and I put it somewhere because you can't launch with all of it. And I have to keep reminding myself, stay small.
Yes.
You know, Uber started in just one city in San Francisco
Right.
until they got it right. And then they would only open city by invitation only. And so I keep getting this counsel to
Right.
start small, figure it out, then
The
start
wheels
to
just
grow.
start to spin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So, for those who don't know, because you started 30 years ago with JP, now Hyphen, tell us about what you do here at Hyphen.
I jokingly say what we do is we spend other people's money, but the trick is we have to do it wisely and deliver a return on investment.
Right.
Right. So people say, oh, I like to spend money.
Right.
Right.
Yes, but there comes a lot of pressure with this money that we spend. I think as part of our rebrand and our doubling down, at the end of the day, what we are is problem solvers. So if you're a brand and you need help connecting with an audience or moving an audience or identifying that audience or getting a product to market to an audience, that's what we do. And we do it by trying to attach behavioral science strategy with a marketing strategy to try to make results.
I like the vibe where you're going with that too, because marketing firms, in my experience, historically, have got the next new whiz bang ad, idea that this is the way we do it type thing, instead of just using tried and true processes and just marrying them.
Yeah.
The constant is, like you said, the hyphens. Appreciate the angle.
We
of that.
we started. When you're trying to come up with a name for a company, it's a wild process.
Oh, it's wild.
You look at 400 or 500 names, and then does that really fit or communicate what we're trying to do?
Right.
We were hooked on this shoe metaphor for a while, though. So if you think about a shoe really hasn't fundamentally changed
Right.
in 100 years, right? So you have a sole,
Right.
Yeah.
and then you have an upper,
Right.
right? And so really at the end of the day, we have to decide, okay, you client, what kind of sole do we need? Is this, we need something really cheap. We're just going to do rubber because it's not a long journey. It's a short journey. We just need to get there quick. So how functional does it have to be? How far does it have to go? How fast does it have to go? And that sole, that whatever we're rooting this campaign in, that behavioral science has to be right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For the campaign. And then the upper is what? It could be everything from a strap, like a flip-flop, right? Because it doesn't need to be sexy or exciting. It just needs to be something I can just grab and go. Or is it going to be like chains and sequins and up the leg and it just has to be something super
Oh, now
sexy
you're talking
and
to my wife over
fantastic,
here.
right?
If it's blingy, let's roll.
We have a little bit of that in common, right? Right? Or do you need something that's just reliable and dependable, like just a really high quality leather stitched together with craftsmanship? What is it that you need on top? And we are the people that put those two things together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
we
a
sort of
great
ditched the
analogy.
shoe analogy, but in my head it really works.
Right. No, it does work. Well, and so years ago, we were partners in this bridal show, and your team did all the marketing for that. And it's changed a lot since then. So one thing about what you do now and what started 30 years ago to where you are today, I mean, it encompasses a whole different strategy, I would imagine, because now you've got social, you've got all these different elements. So back then it was like, hey, we need a poster, a commercial, a radio commercial, a TV commercial. So how has all that changed?
Well, the world of digital has just changed the game completely.
Right.
And it's so interesting when you think about how technology changes over the years and you think it's going to make something else obsolete, and it doesn't. So, for example, broadcast television, not obsolete, but good for certain things, right?
Right.
So you just have to get more careful in your choices. But the digital landscape has really just changed how we allocate budgets because of the refinement and the geo-targeting and the things that we can do and the trackability. Clients
Right.
really want to know, how do I know if it worked? right?
What's the tangible?
Right.
What's the tangible? And many times sales or engagement or signups or whatever it is that we're trying to have as our KPI, our key performance indicator, what is that? But how can I most efficiently
Right.
get to that measurable outcome is also a big
Yeah,
question.
and I think those marketing platforms, the values of one idea, it used to be a 30, 60, 90, even a 6-month platform. Now it could literally be just 1 month, 1 day's value, which has got to be brutal because the work schedule to try to create that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
Yeah, the pressure on performance is greater because the expectations are higher.
always, and it's something fresh, new content, new picture, new scene. Yeah,
And it is interesting because even for our business, I mean, we've done so many different platforms, but it's so funny because I've had so many people come into the store and they go, "Oh my gosh, we see you on social and you guys just look like you're having so much fun." And it's like, that's the trackable
That's what we're trying to
thing.
portray. Yeah, that's
we're
what
like,
we're
we've
trying
done all these things and
Fun's
we
our
know
keyword. Yeah.
they're working, but that's what people come in and say. You know? And
Because
so
at the
it's
end of the
very
day, we're
interesting.
humans. And we make decisions and responses based on emotion.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. And so, in the midst of all of this amazing greatness, there's been some challenges.
You don't say.
Challenges, and even in your personal life. And I'm sure, I've been through that too. You got to keep going, even through the adversity, even through the heartbreaks, even through all the things. So, where you're at now is in a really great place. So, let's talk about what that's done for your life and where you're at with your love life.
My love life.
Oh boy.
Well, I just want
I tuning into this part.
Yeah, you gotta. You're gonna have to contribute.
Okay. Well, that's true.
So I think one important thing is to just always honor the journey, right? So I choose to live without regrets.
Yep.
Even though it'd be easy to say, "Man, I made a really bad choice."
Yeah.
Here
we
or
visit
there,
that.
you know?
We visit that.
But I certainly wouldn't have my daughter if I made that choice.
Yep.
And by hook or by crook, this business has survived, right? Like it is what it is. You make that choice every single day. You have an opportunity to make a change. You could persevere or you could pivot.
Yep.
Persevere or pivot. And so I look back, and there may be one tiny moment where I maybe have a tiny regret, and then I just have to push it out of my mind.
Right.
It's like it's okay.
It
then
ended up great.
it ended up great, and it's the hardest thing to do, to make really difficult life choices. When you're really making a hard pivot, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Been there, done that.
But it also makes you more resilient. The next time you have to make a hard pivot, like doing this, taking a sabbatical and starting something
Right.
new that I have no idea what I'm doing, because I've done hard pivots in the past, you realize you're going to be okay. You're going to land on your feet, and if nothing else, you're going to outwork it. And if it fails, I have some job skills. I have some
still pack fruit.
I can fall back on something. I'll figure something out. Hyphen says they'll take me back no matter what. So,
Good.
but you don't know unless you try, right? And so taking those hard pivots when you're in a relationship and it impacts so many other people. It's not just impacting you,
Right.
right?
The wave.
There's a big ripple effect.
Yep.
And then you do it, and then just so many things just cascade from there in good ways, right? When you allow yourself to be open to that. But I do remember my father had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and my mother had just been diagnosed with cancer in the same month, in December 2017. I had moved out, but the divorce wasn't final. And I remember saying to myself, this is God's way of telling me, all those goals that you just wrote down for next year, none of those matter because they're all about you. This is not about you. This is about taking care of your parents and being there for them. And all these crazy things that you wrote down are not meaningful. So I looked at all my goals and I put them all aside and I said, you know what? There's one on here that I'm going to hang on to. So I had always wanted to do a hot yoga challenge. So I love yoga in a hot room, and they always do a winter challenge. It always starts in January, and you have to either go every day for 60 days or every other day, basically 30 times in 60 days. And I thought, you know what? I need to do this for me. I'm going to need my health, my sanity.
Yeah, there's a
right?
balance. Sure.
I'm going to need this. And so that's the one goal I decided I was going to stick to. And then my birthday is in the first week of January, and my birthday rolls around, and I tell myself, you know what? I'm 49 years old. I don't need a person in my life to complete me. I'm fine. I have my family. I have my work family. I have a small circle of friends. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. I'm not going to worry about dating or finding a man or whatever it is. I completely let it go. And then 14 days later, in hot yoga, I met Alex.
Isn't life funny?
It's yeah.
You
And
never know.
literally, we joke all the
Wow.
time because I don't know what he said to me, but it was before class. It was a pretty crowded class, and we were one towel away from each other. And
One towel away. That's cute.
I think he said something like, "Man, it's really hot in here today." And I thought he was talking to the girl next to me, but she completely ignored him. So I felt bad for him. So I answered him. But we don't really know if that's what he said or not. And then after class, he was waiting for me in the lobby and introduced
That's
himself to me.
cute.
Awesome.
The rest is history.
And if somebody can look at you during hot yoga and think, I gotta get to know this person, you know they're the right one.
I don't know.
I don't know,
Not
because
a bad space.
that's not like yeah.
It's gross.
I'm sorry,
It's-
but
yeah,
that's not
it's
the most
hair all
attractive,
slicked back,
yeah.
mascara running. Yesterday's mascara running down
Right.
your face. Yeah, it's not a good look. And the first 3 times I saw him, that's how I looked.
Oh my!
So
All
then
of a sudden, went to cool room yoga, huh?
Well, then the first time we went on a date, he finally, after 3 times, he asked me, he's like, "Do you like wine?" I was like, "Yes, I do
Okay,
like wine.
fine.
Let's go have a glass of wine." Okay.
Yeah.
And I went straight from work. So I was in work clothes and had my hair and makeup done. And he was kind of like,
Wow.
"Wow, you clean up real nice."
See, I love that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's
love it.
fun.
So I see you, and all that I can say and think is, happy looks good on you.
Oh, thank you. I could say the same to you. Although I thought we both faked it pretty well.
I know.
But then afterwards, people were like, "Oh, you seem so much happier now." And I thought, darn, I thought I was faking it so well. Apparently I wasn't. Shoot.
No, that's one thing I'm going to tell you. You mentioned about not needing somebody, and it's very true. But I'm going to tell you when you meet that right person. I mean, if anything, I tell people this all the time. This woman makes me so much better,
Yes.
and it's not because of it's elevating me because I recognize the person and who grounds me. And you see when you meet that right person, there's a light.
Well, you both make each other better, and
Right.
and we always say we could just sit and talk for hours,
man,
and that's something that
Hence,
we
now
never
we do a
had.
podcast.
Yeah. And so when you have that right partner, it's pretty
everything.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. We comment all the time about how crazy it is to have a safe space at home, to want to be at home, to want to sit and talk. I mean, literally yesterday after his company party, we went home and we have these chairs in our bedroom, and we may have had a little something to drink and sat in our chairs and just connecting
Right.
at the end of the night.
Yeah.
After a full crazy day of running around, and it's the place we want to be.
Yeah, that's
and
for us
we
too.
just, when you don't have that, you don't even think that's a real thing.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I
We-
didn't
we-
believe it.
Call the hot tub that. It's like our connection spot. It's like we go out there and we're supposed to be relaxing, and we are, but we're like
It's the think tank is what we end up calling it, dang near. But it's exactly that. It's that moment that you can have, and you hunt for it. I mean, we did our vacation here recently, and it's my best time when I'm with her, and I can talk literally 24/7. We dang near do. I mean, we have our moments laying out in
Brainstorm
the
and
sun,
enjoy each
brainstorm and chat, and it never seemed to run out of words. So I think the heart's full.
Yeah, and you guys are kind of an interesting story and inspiration for me because I worked with my ex-husband
Yes.
for all those years. And I swore I would never do it again, but life has always taught me to never say
Never say never, girl.
And now I see the two of you, and it's like, oh, that would be really fun. So Alex has said that at some point he will walk away from his career as a hand surgeon, and he wants to come work at Braid and do lunches. He wants to do lunches because he eats standing up for 15 minutes between patients. He eats, right?
Right.
And so, yeah. So he's looking forward to, and I'm
Right.
considering it because I had said never, but
I know. It's, you know what? I feel that when you do have the right person, I mean, I had someone ask me fairly recently, do you guys even fight? And I was like, we definitely disagree. We do
yeah.
not have the same opinions. But the thing is that we can do that and be okay with it. And I think that that's part of a good relationship too, is when you work together 24/7, it's like, okay, no, we're not doing it that way. And then he goes, no, we are. And then you have this thing. And actually, Jake has experienced it before too, our producer. And he's like, am I in a tense moment? And I'm like, no, you're not.
No,
We're just talking
no,
through
we're
things.
spirited. We get in spirited conversation, if you want to call it. But I think the part is we've had to learn to be that too, because we are synergistically together. We love our time together, and we feel like a leg's missing. At least
Yeah.
for me, especially when Tracy's not there. So we're blessed in how to be able to work together in that case, and we trust each other in that case. So we know when to say when.
So I say, do it. Do it, Jane. You never know. You never know.
right?
I think it
Right.
comes with a different set of rules now. I think you'll learn that. I think
sure.
your eyes are wide open. You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roles, responsibilities, and I think the disagreement thing is absolutely is important, right?
It's
you don't want
healthy.
to
It
you
is.
don't want a single mind. I mean,
Right.
what do you? I always say if you agree on absolutely everything, then why do you need the other person, right?
Exactly.
You have to be able to work things out, bounce things around.
And let each person be their person. I think that's a big part of it. I mean,
Right.
we work on that because for us, once again, two alphas. I mean, and we share an office. We share an office, this space.
Right.
And no dividers, no nothing. And so,
It can get a little loud in there sometimes.
but at the same time, it's like, it's like, that's hers. Like, you know, that's her, what she's good at. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to just recognize that.
Yeah.
Where in early lives of marriages or relationships, I don't think I ever had that maturity.
I don't know that you always have the skills, but I also think what Alex and I have really realized is that you are absolutely not intending to hurt the other person.
Yeah.
Correct.
So even if sometimes something comes out of your mouth, right, and you're like, you're gonna reel that back in, like,
Do that.
I have to apologize immediately. But regardless, he knows I'm no way intending to hurt him,
Right.
and I know he's in no way intending to hurt me. And so when you have that
Yes.
as your base, then you know, okay, are you just tired or cranky or low blood sugar, like,
All
or
the
like,
above.
do we really need to talk about this, or did you just have a moment, or
Right.
whatever, right? But I know fundamentally he's not trying to hurt me, and that just changes the game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's totally true.
We've definitely learned that too.
Well, I love it. You look very happy.
Thank
It's
you.
Great to see. Okay, so we're going to do something fun, Jane. We do this little game. And so we are going to do a
Is there a prize? I'm not competitive or anything.
Yes, there's wine waiting at the end.
It's a little early.
Some Baileys.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to do rapid fire. He's going to do a few questions, and then I'm going to do a few words, and you just, whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Oh
You
boy.
ready?
Okay.
Really quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
Best advice you ever received?
That's a loaded question, I know.
That is a loaded question. I'm gonna say take one day at a time.
Love it.
Okay. One thing you tell your 15-year-old self.
Don't take yourself too seriously. Everything's gonna work out.
All right. The word bold, what does it do?
Adventurous.
Okay.
Reinvention.
My life.
Love.
My relationship with Alex.
Yeah.
Inspire.
Mentorship.
Courage.
Believe in yourself.
Leader.
Servant.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think that there was one more question on there.
You want to throw that out? A book or podcast you'd recommend for an entrepreneur?
Oh, for an entrepreneur. I would do Nudge by Phil Agnew. It's a podcast on behavioral science. And it talks just about how people think and things that you can do in your relationships, in your branding, and really just kind of anything when you're trying to move someone or help them hear you.
I love that.
Yeah, that's actually, and that behavioral science piece is unique. I was a trained finance director in the big car dealership world, and I was trained for 10 years straight by some of the best behavioral science trainers in that industry. They would bring us in and sit us down and say, when they do this, they see that, you do that. And I've now slowed the whole world down in front of me. I can make things happen by just a few sets of words. So I love that aspect. That's a nudge. I'm going to have to nudge.
Okay, I love
good.
it. All right, good. Okay, so as we wrap up, is there anything else you want people to know about you or what you're doing? Is there any parting words that you feel everybody should hear?
I want to put out.
Yeah, actually, I do. So Alex and I, we listen to a lot of different podcasts, and we have read the book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia, and we listen to his podcast. And he's very much into longevity, but not in years as a number, but in the health that you have in those years, right? So this idea that how are you taking care of yourself now so that when you're 94, you can do the things that you want to do. You're not bedridden, right?
Great.
Right. Like, who cares about being 94 if you don't really have the quality of life you want to have?
Yeah.
But he also talks about living the life you want to have now, and live. And he has there's this whole theory about die with zero. Like, if you die with all the money in the bank, you haven't lived your life to its fullest. So what are you doing at this stage of your life while your body and your funds and whatever, like everything that's important to you, you can do now? So like, if you're going to go climb Kilimanjaro, are you going to wait till you retire, or are you going to
do it
when are you doing it? Right. And so really being mindful of what are those things that you want to do and accomplish and achieve in each of those decades of our life. And so Alex and I have named our decades. And we have lists of things that we want to do. You know, the Alaskan cruise, we can do that when we're 80. We don't have to do that now.
Yeah.
You know? So let's figure out when we're doing those things, and then spending the money on adventure now with our kids, because let's do it now. If you die with all that money, you missed out on adventure.
Yeah.
You didn't make it
I
happen.
discovered this word this last trip, and more so Tracy pulled it as adventure, and I like that.
It's actually the theme of our relationship. The very first winery we ever went to is called L'Aventure, which stands for adventure. And then when we got married overlooking the L'Aventure vineyards.
Oh, I love
awesome is
that.
So it's our theme.
Yeah. No, that I remember as a kid when my grandpa died, and they were penny pinchers, and I realized this was a different time. You know, they had to be because they grew up very poor and whatever. But after he died, my grandma had this bank full of money, and then she went on a cruise with her friends, and she told her 3 kids very guiltily, "I'm spending your inheritance." And my mom said, "Mom, spend it. Go enjoy your life. Like, this is what you guys worked so hard for." And I was just a kid. I mean, I remember this, and it stuck with me this whole time. And I've told my parents, I don't need to inherit any money.
Right.
Like, we can make our own money.
Yeah.
And go live your life. Go spend your money. Go do all the things, because
Have that
you've
life.
earned that.
Have that life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're working so hard every day. We just get in the grind, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And once you have enough, you know, you do the math, you're not careless.
Yes.
You have enough to
Yes.
retire.
Sure.
Enjoy it.
Sure.
Enjoy it.
And do the things that you, and that's in part why I'm doing this app, because, you know, I'm 55 years old.
Right.
So if not now, when?
When?
Yeah.
We can't
Well, there's no
wait.
time like the present. I've always been that person. It's like, why now? Let's go. Figure it out. Let's go.
Try.
Yeah, try.
I don't want to die thinking, you know,
I don't want to be there saying
I didn't try.
Right.
Right.
I didn't try.
I didn't try.
so here we are, sweating it out at 3 a.m.
Right.
Exactly. Okay, so how can people find you, Jane? If they want to follow you, if they need your services, tell us how we can find you.
So you can either follow on it's the-team.com is the website, and the -team on all socials.
The
The-team.
team. Okay.
Okay.
And then Braid Media is the app I'm building, so you can follow me there.
BRADE? Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that.
Man, all right, I can't
The
wait.
social's kicking off about the same time, so it's a little slow right now, but because I need content.
Okay, we're going
And
to talk
Dusty
offline. I love that. Well, okay, so thank you so much for
thank you.
joining
Absolutely.
us.
This
Yeah,
has been a
appreciate the
delightful
time.
morning.
So fun. To anybody who has not yet followed us on social, you can also find us at Resorting to
Bring
Success.
Correct.
On Instagram, Facebook,
YouTube.
Spotify,
Right.
Apple,
Apple.
all the places. So
Yep, we're there.
thanks, Jane. This has been fun.
Thank you.
Thanks again.